This Sunday, the church celebrates the most holy body and blood of Christ. And, it's one of those things when you get into the readings, there are so many different things that you could pull out. And I'm not going to give you a huge, not history lesson, theology lesson, I guess, but just a couple of points that come back to mind again and again and again. For me, when we think about the readings and the feasts together, there's a difference in Jesus's priesthood, in part because he's God, but also because it's something new and old at the same time. So we hear that passage, about Melchizedek offering this sacrifice of thanksgiving in the bread and the wine. And the unique thing about it is, not to get into all the details, but there's something about Melchizedek that kind of communicates that he has this eternal priesthood. It's something different than the temple sacrifice or the sacrificial priesthood of the Old Testament temple that the Levitical priests had. So that was for a time and for a specific purpose in the temple. But when this new covenant comes along and Jesus offers the bread and the wine as his body and blood, he's kind of connecting with this eternal priesthood. And again, that's its own theology lesson, if you will, but it's fundamentally different. Not just because Jesus is God, but also because he's not sacrificing these individual animals in the temple. But the sacrifice of Jesus is also instructive for us. We honor the fact that the Eucharist is the most holy body and blood of Jesus in this feast. And how could it be the most holy body and blood of Jesus if it weren't for the fact that he offered his own body in sacrifice, right? And there's a lot of this that, what do we need to start in terms of what do we need to start with in terms of our belief? That Jesus says, this is my body. And he doesn't say this is a symbol of my body, but this is my body. This is my blood. Okay, there may be questions of how that can be, or in what form or in what realm that could be, but Jesus is pretty darn clear about it. This is my body. This is my blood. And I think really one of the things that helps us move forward the most is to recognize it's not his earthly human body. And I think I've said this before. It's his resurrected, glorified, transformed body. It's a way of him saying, I give you all of myself, not just in my earthly sense, but in my eternal sense too. Here is all of God come to you in this sacred meal. So when we take all of these readings together, really acknowledging the great solemnity that we celebrate, go back to Melchizedek's priesthood, the eternal priesthood, the offering of thanksgiving of bread and wine, and then something that's not explicitly in the readings, but something that kind of makes the connection for us. The Jews had other sacrifices other than bulls and lambs and birds. They also had a sacrifice that was called a thank offering, and it was an offering of bread. So it kind of makes this connection from way back when in Melchizedek's priesthood all the way through down to the time of Jesus. So, what does Jesus do? He offers a thanksgiving of bread and wine, but he turns it into his own body and blood. So go back to even the feeding of the 5,000. What does Jesus do? He takes the loaves, he blesses the loaves, he breaks the loaves, and then he gives the loaves. He does the same thing at the Last Supper as well. And in that offering, he unites himself to it. And what happens? He's taken up. He is blessed by the Father. He is broken through the crucifixion, but ultimately he's given for us and for our life. The action of this solemnity really, is that we go and do the same. It's great to highlight the reality of the Eucharist and what it is, but it's even more important to recognize who it is and the commission that it gives us to go forth and be the same, to be taken up into the mystery of God, to be blessed by the Father through Jesus and the power of the Spirit, to be broken for others, our hearts broken open for others, our bodies broken open for others. That's that we might contribute to a better way of life for them. And certainly, as I really just made the connection, that we be given, that we give our lives away just like Jesus did to be life for the world.